Krishna Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Holiness Swami Srila Gurudeva ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Hari Hari Bo. Wow, you guys are fired up tonight. You must have had a nice dinner, a nice feast, a nice rest. You're praying a lot, you're getting a lot of mercy. You feel better? Are you feeling better? Every day a little bit better? We should find some progress. If we're doing properly, we should feel some progress. All of our doubts, all of our anxiety, everything should be slowly, by mercy, getting cleared. Then everything becomes clear, we become more peaceful, then we become more happy. Prabhupada said if you take to this process of Krishna consciousness, then it will make you happy. You become more and more happy. Everybody wants to be happy. Prabhupada said you don't know how to be happy because you're trying to be happy separate from Krishna. So if you just remember that your happiness is actually dependent on Krishna's happiness. And Krishna's happiness is when we do devotional service, pure devotional service to Him, when we cooperate. So if we'll just cooperate, remember we're servant, try to somehow serve Krishna, Krishna's devotees, try to get their mercy, blessing, automatically we'll become more healthy, more peaceful, more happy. Our happiness is dependent on Krishna's happiness. Prabhupada said you're trying to enjoy separate from Krishna. And this is the problem. This is the root of the problem. So we must understand that science, that really if we want to be peaceful and happy in our life, then really we have to agree to be servant of Krishna and to cooperate with Krishna and to follow Krishna's instructions. And Krishna's instructing, it says, in 3 ways. To Paramatma, Chetu Guru, Super Soul, Krishna's prompting, giving faith, giving intelligence. Then he's also giving bona fide Guru, Shri Guru, external manifestation of Super Soul. That is a Guru. God is in everyone's heart. He's giving knowledge, intelligence, but we can't hear Him so clearly. Sometimes He's telling something, we're saying, oh, that's just my mind. We're not understanding coming from God, coming from Krishna. A lot of time coming from Maya, prompting us, giving us different thoughts, desires, plans, and it's coming from Maya, and we think, oh, that's Krishna, God is inspiring me. So when God is inspiring, we're saying, oh, it's just my stupid mind. And when Maya is prompting and giving us some thoughts, some inspiration, we say, oh, that's Krishna. So conditioned soul, very confused. And it's explained, even great saintly people, even very serious spiritual people, they also find it difficult in this world to always understand, is it Krishna or is it Maya? Right, all the Christian saints and all other religions, they're always trying to, is this Satan? Is this the devil? Is this coming from God? So this is always an issue for conditioned soul who's trying to purify their consciousness, who's trying to remember God after so long forgetting about God. And this is a very subtle subject matter. This is a 4th dimensional, transcendental, spiritual subject matter. And we're in 3-dimensional consciousness. We have imperfect sense perception. Material consciousness, our consciousness is polluted. So because of that, we also have so much misunderstanding. We have so many misconceptions. What is spiritual? What's not spiritual? What's coming from Krishna? what's coming from Maya, what's real, what's not real, what is true, what is truth, and what is not truth. So now, especially in this age, because of technology, because of artificial intelligence, therefore now you can't even trust your eyes. You can't trust what you're hearing, because looks and sounds same, but yet it's just artificial intelligence, some robot, some manipulation with technology. So now more than ever, it's very difficult to depend on your senses, even materially speaking, to be able to understand what is what. And is it psychological manipulation? Is it technology? Is it artificial intelligence? So now more than ever, people are very, very bewildered as to what is what, even materially, even three-dimensionally. It's very difficult to understand what is happening. So we can read a verse tonight from Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we can discuss a little bit further on these topics. Does that sound all right?
Yes.
You guys ready?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's read the verse. I have 3-4 different things lined up, so I didn't know which direction to go. So I was prepared for a few different directions. So it looks like this particular point is first priority. Yes. So this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, knowledge of the absolute. Prabhupada said these are like law books, and you should read my books. You should study my books, like a lawyer studies the law. Because if you don't read the books, you don't understand Prabhupada's books, then you have no chance of understanding what's happening, spiritually or materially. Not avoid it if you really want to understand what is the truth, what is absolute truth. Prabhupada emphasizing, I'm writing these books for you, not just to hand them out to other people, but for you to read it and you to understand it and you to realize, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, mercy of Sri Guru Granga, what are these instructions? These instructions are coming from Krishna, and it's non-different from Krishna. That means directly associating with Krishna, by hearing about Krishna, and by his mercy, he can purify our material, contaminated, polluted consciousness. He can spiritualize our intelligence, mind, and senses. Prabhupada calls it Krishnaized. So we have to have our intelligence, mind, and senses Krishnaized in order to be able to really understand these very transcendental and spiritual subject matter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of the absolute, chapter 7 and text number 26. 26. Yeah, let's read 26. Please repeat. Veda, Aham, Samittanti, Vatmamarani, Shah, Arjuna, Bhavishyani, Shah, Bhutani, Mam, Tu, Veda, Na, Kaschana. Hare Krishna. Vedaham samatitani Vatamanani Charjuna Avishyani Chabutani Mam tu Veda Nakaschana Vedaham Samatitani Vatamanani Charjuna Avishyani Chabutani Mam tu Veda Nakaschana. Anyone want to try?
Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani charjuna Vishyani chabutani Mam tu Veda Nakaschana.
Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani charjuna Vishyani chabutani Mam tu Veda Nakaschana.
Vedaham samatitani
Vartamanani charjuna
Vishyani
Vishyani chabutani Mam tu Veda Nakaschana. Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani charjuna Vishyani chabutani. Speaking to Arjuna, and through Arjuna, speaking to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to the rest of mankind. Krishna is telling, O Arjuna, as Bhagavan, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were Maya or material, as the impersonalists consider him to be, then like the living entity, he would change his body and he would forget everything about his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in the past, in the present, nor in the future, unless one is liberated from all material contamination. He cannot know the past, the present, nor the future. Unlike the ordinary human beings, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what happened in the present, and what will happen also in the future. In the 4th chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna, he remembers instructing Vivasvan, the sun god, millions and millions of years ago. Krishna, he knows every living entity because he is situated in every being's heart as the super soul, Paramatma. But despite his presence in every living entity as the super soul, and his presence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are less intelligent even if they're able to realize impersonal Brahman or the energy of God, they cannot realize Sri Krishna as the supreme person, as the supreme personality of Godhead. So certainly the transcendental body of Sri Krishna, it is not material, it's not perishable. He's just like the sun, and Maya is like the cloud. In the material world, that there is the sun, and that there are clouds, and there are different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all of these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, the moon, the stars, they're not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to those who are less intelligent class of man. As it is stated in the third verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life. And out of thousands and thousands of such persons, perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of the personal Brahman or the localized Paramatma or Super Soul, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without being in full Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana Tamarandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmanjana Tasmai Shri Guru Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Vedaham Samatitani Vatmamanani Charjuna Bhavishyani Chabutani Mamtu Veda Nakashana. Again, the translation. O Arjuna, as Bhagavan, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one really knows. So here Krishna is establishing that he is Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's explaining, once again, only God can establish himself. He's explaining that God, the personality who is God, he's supposed to know everything from the past and the present and the future. He's connected to, he knows all living entities, and he's also coming in the heart of all living entities. In this way, he's establishing how and why. Krishna is establishing how and why he is Bhagavan, how he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very nice verse to understand the greatness also of God, and also to put into perspective the living entity, the conditioned soul, under modes of material nature with polluted, contaminated senses, consciousness, how we don't understand or remember anything from the past, really. We get some little inkling or some dream or something, so no, I know my past. But no one can say for sure. No one can really remember their past. We don't really know what's happening in the present. We think, Prabhupada said, you're depending on your eyes, seeing is believing. So you have intelligence, mind, senses, and because of pride, then you think you can understand everything, and you think your senses, especially your eyes, are so nice instrument that by seeing, then automatically you can understand everything. But when you hear about artificial intelligence and all of this other type of technology, even you can't depend on your eyes because it looks exactly like your eye perception perceives it, but yet it's not real, it's not true. So now we've become even less dependent on the senses because we don't know if it's real or unreal, whether it's true or untrue. So it's very difficult to understand, even in the present, even if we're conscious about the present, we don't really know what is what, what's real, what's unreal, what's true, what's untrue. So we're not even sure consciously of what is what. What to speak of subconsciously on the platform of the mind, we don't even understand on subconscious level. And all of that is three-dimensional platform, three-dimensional sensory perception. And even that we don't understand because of this polluted, contaminated intelligence, mind, and senses. And so what to speak of looking into the future and being able to understand what is our future. And so this is the difference between God, between Krishna, and the ordinary living entity. And so this pride, arrogance, conceited nature, we're thinking we're very wise, we're very intelligent, we have eyes, we have senses, we can see, we can perceive, we can understand everything. And we're being cheated on every level, and we don't even really fully understand that. And we think by pride that we can just use our intelligence and our mind and our scholarship and our sensory perception and we can understand everything. Little less wind, huh? That's good. We've been talking about, for those persons who are new tonight coming, thank you for coming. We've been talking about how the Prabhupada says that the process of Krishna consciousness is process of purification. So because we're under this tamagun, rajagun, even sattvagun, because of these three modes of material nature, these are different types of clouds or coverings, contamination, which makes it impossible really to understand fourth dimensional, transcendental, spiritual subject matter. And Prabhupada was saying that unless your consciousness is completely purified and your soul, you're in a liberated consciousness, really you cannot really speak about the spiritual world. You cannot really understand and speak about it because it's not factually realized on the platform of the soul. So the first part is how do we purify our consciousness, our polluted, contaminated consciousness, by associating with Krishna, hearing about Krishna. Prabhupada said Krishna is the purest of the pure. So if you hear from Krishna, you try to think about Krishna, you associate with Krishna by hearing and chanting, that association by Krishna's mercy, that he'll gradually purify this contaminated, polluted consciousness. And so you're chanting nicely, kirtan, you took nice Krishna Prasadam, Jagannath Prasad. And Prabhupada said this is expert treatment program. So the Harikatha, Krishna Nam, krishna-katha, that's like a medicine. That is the medicine. And the diet, that's Krishna Prasadam, Jagannath Prasad, that is expert treatment program to purge your mad mind, to purify all its different type of gross and subtle contaminations, attachments, desires, habits, bad qualities. It's like Himalayan mountains of things that we have to really cleanse up and purify. And so this is the process of purification. Prabhupada said the Sushota Panta means a path of hearing. So by hearing about Krishna, by allowing the katha to enter somehow into the ear, one will be able to purify their polluted material consciousness. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, I was reading, he had a nice quote of the day today on the subject matter. Can I share that with you?
Yes.
Prabhupada was speaking in Bhubaneswar, October 24th, 1992. And he was speaking from Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam 8:19:11. It's a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave on Srimad Bhagavatam. And Gurudev says that such a pure devotee, Premi Bhakta, who has a pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, he sees Krishna, the beautiful Sham Sundar, within and from without. Krishna says, only by pure loving devotional service will I reveal myself to you. That's why Krishna says, I know everybody, but everybody doesn't know me. Unless you come in this mood of pure loving devotional service, I'll hide myself from you. So here, this is talking about Premi Bhakta. Real devotee means Premi Bhakta, Shuddha Bhakta. We're trying to become Bhakta. We're trying to become Vaishnava. Vaishnava means already fourth dimensional, transcendental, pure consciousness, a liberated platform. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Krishna says that liberated platform, after Nata Nivriti, after Nishta, one comes to that platform of pure consciousness. That is the start of pure, unalloyed devotional service. Before that, we're looking everywhere else, gross or subtly, material desire. And because of these other desires, and we're looking at Maya, we're looking to enjoy separate from Krishna. And therefore, Krishna says your intelligence is still polluted, it's many branched. Krishna said, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto, only think about me. But we're not only thinking about Krishna because intelligence is still distracted, it's still contaminated, it's many branched. And so the resolute determination, Krishna says, to be Krishna conscious and to practice Krishna consciousness, it's not manifesting itself because of this polluted material consciousness. So here, when they're talking about real Vaishnava, real Bhakta, means Shuddha Bhakta, means transcendental to even Brahman platform. Prabhupada first said, I want you to become perfect gentleman and lady. I'm here first to try to make you into a Brahmana, means perfect gentleman, perfect lady. Get rid of this tamagun, rajagun, try to come to mode of goodness. Prabhupada said, try to come to this type of namabhas, or liberated state, mukti. That's not the final goal, but first try to get liberated and try to become mode of goodness. And then that mode of goodness is stepping stone how to go to Shuddha Sattva platform. So without getting to Sattva Gun platform, really you cannot understand or get to Shuddha Sattva platform. So we must really understand that. Otherwise, we're in Tamagun and Rajagun, and we're thinking by contaminated intelligence, mind, and senses, by misconception, that whatever we're thinking, whatever conclusions we're coming to regarding spiritual life, that automatically is transcendental and accurate and properly understood. So the process of purification, Prabhupada said, first come to Sattva Gun platform, try to lessen these dark clouds of Tamagun and Rajagun, come to mode of goodness, become perfect gentlemen in your mentality and your behavior, and then from mode of goodness, then you can transcend that, like stepping stone to come to transcendental platform or Shuddha Sattva platform. That Shuddha Sattva platform, that is Vaishnava platform. So we're saying that we're all Vaishnavas. We're aspiring, hopefully, to become real Vaishnava, to become real Bhakta, means Shuddha Bhakta, Premi Bhakta. That's a real Bhakta, means Premi Bhakta, Shuddha Bhakta. That's a real Vaishnava platform. On that platform, the Premi Bhakta Vaishnava platform, Krishna reveals himself inside and outside. If he looks, he can understand Krishna is there. Everything is Krishna's energy. Krishna is the supreme proprietor and controller of all of his energies. So such devotee can see Krishna reveals himself internally as Shamsundar, and also outside, everything they can also understand is related to Krishna. He sees Krishna, beautiful Shamsundar, within and without, with the balm of love on his eyes. So by hearing from Sadhu Guru Vaishnavas, Mahajanas, Mahajana Vaishnava, by hearing from them with full faith and complete surrender. So we talked about this last night, about what is real surrender, right? Not partial, not conditional, not sentimental, not artificial, but real surrender. And real faith, not theoretical, not speculative, not sentimental faith, but real faith, unflinching faith, and with a real surrender to Krishna. So with full faith and surrender, one gets his mercy. So we're taking everything very cheaply. We're assuming many, many things that of course we must be getting mercy. But one must hear with full faith, unflinching faith, and with a real surrender. I remember Srila Govinda Swami in Bhubaneswar. When I went there, he was talking that if you have any doubts, if you have any tinge of doubt, you're not trusting Krishna, you're not really hear Krishna, it will not work. And I was like, wow, what a high standard is that? You can have no tinge of doubt. Because as long as we're doubting, we're not surrendering. And without surrendering, we're not properly hearing. So that surrender must be real, and Krishna is the witness and the judge. I'm not the witness and judge of your sincerity or your seriousness. Krishna is in everybody's heart. He'll say, he knows perfectly well all things. From this verse, we can understand that he's telling, I already know everything. So it's a matter of us being honest and being convinced and convincing Krishna. One person said, Prabhupada, it seemed very difficult to know who's a guru. There's so many of these sadhus, gurus, everybody running around. It's hard to know, are any of them really genuine? Are any of them really real guru, sadhu? It seemed very difficult to understand it. And Prabhupada said in the Science of Self-Realization to Mr. O'Grady, is it? Yeah. Prabhupada said that's not the problem. The problem is, the difficulty is how sincere And how serious are you to want to fully surrender to Krishna? That's the problem. And so without that seriousness and surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will not give us intelligence and faith to be able to understand what is what. So really it's a problem of sincerity and seriousness to want to surrender to Krishna, which is the root cause of our forgetfulness and our ignorance and our misconceptions and speculations and all of that. So by hearing from Sadhu Guru, Mahajana Vaishnav, Sadguru, with full faith and complete surrender, one then gets this mercy. So Prabhupada said everything is based on mercy. Mercy from Krishna. Prabhupada said two mercies: mercy from Krishna and mercy from Sri Guru, Sadhu Guru Vaishnava. Krishna wants to shower mercy on that sincere, serious devotee, one who wants to be devotee. Then he sends first installment of his mercy, he sends him bona fide spiritual master. And by surrendering there with intelligence and faith, hearing Hari Katha, Krishna Katha, gradually one can get that mercy, and that mercy is also merciful purification. So by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of my spiritual master, Sanjay said in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra, because I got mercy from my spiritual master, Srila Vyasadeva, he purified my intelligence and my mind and my senses so much so that I could then see and hear Krishna directly. So without that mercy of Krishna and his devotee, one cannot properly see and hear and understand Krishna. Gurudev says that without this surrender and this faith, unflinching faith in Krishna, in the Guru, this katha cannot enter into your ears. So everyone thinking, I'm hearing, I'm listening, but without full surrender and unflinching faith, we cannot hear properly. So what are we hearing? What do we think we're hearing? So if we're questioning our surrender, we're questioning our level of faith, then how we can have confidence that what we're hearing, what we think we're hearing, is actually Krishna. So without complete surrender and unflinching faith, that katha, that Krishna katha, Krishna nam, it cannot enter into your ears. Even if one sits pretending to listen. Pretending to listen. So I remember when I was listening to this time to Srila Bhagavan Maharaj, he said, although many people are sitting there, and apparently they're listening, they're hearing, but they're not really hearing, they're not really listening. This katha is not entering into their ear because their mind is stolen by illusion. So because of your bodily attachment and your attachment to your family, your husband, your wife, your children, your friends, because of all of this bodily material consciousness and attachment, therefore it's contaminating asat, sangha, intelligence, mind, and senses, asat, Therefore, this katha, Krishna in the form of transcendental sound vibration, is not able to penetrate into your ear. That's why we see devotees 20, 30, 40 years hearing Krishna katha, apparently, but yet no real improvement, no real advancement. They may pick up some academic or theoretical, quote some shlokas, give some gyan, but it's not factually realized. It's not a tangible level of undeniable advancement in spiritual life. Still bad qualities, still material attachments, still material desires, still sinful activities, still sinful reaction, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, living in the Dham. So there's no real advancement. Still so many doubts, so much fear, so much uncertainty, so much misconception is still there because the katha is not entering inside of the ear. And why it's not entering inside of the ear is because of lack of simplicity. Because we are complex, too crooked, because of this material attachment, material desire, sinful desires, sinful attachments, sinful activities. That's a crookedness. It's a lack of purity, a lack of innocence, a lack of simplicity. Therefore, that katha is not able to enter inside of the ear. So if one is simple, sincere, serious, they can get, by mercy, full faith, unflinching faith. Krishna will give them intelligence and faith. And with that intelligence and faith, they're able to surrender to Krishna. And without that surrender, and without that faith, the katha cannot enter into the ear. That's why Prabhupada said when he was on Jaladuta that how are these people in Tamagun and Rajagun, how are they going to hear a perfectly pure, transcendental topic like Srimad Bhagavatam? How will it be possible for such people to have this katha, this Hari katha, Krishna katha? How will they be able to understand it and accept it? And Srila Prabhupada, in the prayer, Jaladuta prayers, he said that, anyway, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, you want to liberate all of these people. You put them into Maya. They wanted to forget. You let them forget. Now, by your causeless mercy, you want them to remember that only if you purify my speaking. So if you can empower my words, if you can empower that kirtan, then if you enter into that transcendental sound, then you can penetrate through all of this gross and subtle coverings and contaminations, which is blocking the soul. So unless Prabhupada said, unless one is empowered by Mahaprabhu, he cannot actually be a preacher. His preaching will just be theoretical, academic. Without Krishna entering into the vibration, into the sound, we have no chance of that katha to enter into the ear. Without full surrender and unflinching faith, the katha cannot enter into your ears, even if one sits pretending to listen. So because of a lack of simplicity, therefore we cannot hear properly. And if we can't hear properly, we cannot develop in our faith. Hare Krishna. Only those who have surrendered, who have complete faith, and who hear attentively, greedy to hear, only they get the mercy. And then the ointment of love, Krishna Prema, is then smeared on their eyes. As Srimad Bhagavatam says in 3.9.11, Shuta Ikshita Pata. By hearing, one can then see. So if we can't hear, if it's not going in, not hearing properly, you could not see and understand properly. So this is a very interesting subject matter. This is very technical. Prabhupada said this is a spiritual science. So then I looked up this Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.11. This is Lord Brahma when he's making his prayers for the creative energy. 3.9.11. Lord Brahma is telling to Krishna, Bhagavan, "Oh my dear Lord, only your pure devotees can see you through their ears." Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says you cannot recognize Sadhu Guru Vaishnava by your eyeballs. You can only understand it by your ears, by your hearing and the effect of hearing. So here, Lord Brahma is saying that your pure devotees, they can see you through their ears. So first hear and then see. They can hear you through their ears by the process of bona fide hearing. So the process of bona fide hearing, Gurudev was saying, means unflinching faith, and surrender means proper. Prabhupada talks about proper and sufficient. So the hearing must be proper and it must be sufficient. And Prabhupada explained that the guru, the preacher, he must be bona fide and authorized, empowered. And the hearer, he must also be qualified. He must also have faith and real surrender, real sincerity, real seriousness, real eagerness, greedy to hear. So if the speaker is qualified and the hearer is qualified, then Krishna, he'll manifest within that sincere type of hearing and chanting. So without understanding that tattva of who is bona fide and authorized, who is qualified as a speaker and also as a hearer, then you cannot really understand just bona fide hearing. Because everybody is saying, you know, I came here to hear. So that's my understanding of bona fide hearing. So it needs a further explanation. And Prabhupada's explanation is proper and sufficient hearing. So by this process of bona fide hearing, proper and sufficient hearing, then their hearts become cleansed. Krishna agrees to enter into the heart. Krishna says that I'm dwelling in the heart of every living entity, and to show special mercy, I, the Lord within the heart, I purify them, those devotees who want to surrender and serve me. I purify all this tamagun, all this material contamination out of causeless mercy from the Lord. Krishna says that he purifies them from within the heart. So without hearing, without Krishna entering in through bona fide, proper, sufficient hearing process, then Krishna enters within that Shotapanta, that path of hearing, and then he cleanses, purifies the heart. Lord Brahma is saying that you have pure devotees, they can see you through the ears by this process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts became cleansed. And then when your heart is cleansed, then you then take your seat there. So Srila Govinda Maharaj used to say that bona fide Guru, Vaishnava, whatever he asks Krishna, then Krishna will agree, because he's working on behalf of Krishna. So if pure devotee asks Krishna, please Krishna, can you do like this? Then Krishna will not say no. He'll not say no. But Gurudev said that if your heart and your consciousness is filthy, why would the spiritual master ask Krishna to come and sit in your filthy heart? Wow. So that means we have to become qualified. And Gurudev said, Premi Bhakta, they have love for Krishna. They're going to, out of love for Krishna, they're going to ask Krishna to come and sit in your polluted, filthy, contaminated heart. First, show your sincerity and seriousness and clean it up. Cooperate seriously with the process. Then the impossible can become possible. He said, well, Krishna is already Paramatma Super Soul situated within the heart. Is he manifesting then? Are you seeing Sham Sundar manifesting as a Super Soul? As Paramatma? That's who pure devotee is seeing. That's the darshan he's getting. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita 7, chapter Knowledge of Absolute, text number 25, 725. Naham prakasha savasya yoga maya samavrita madho yam navijanati loko mam ajam avyayam. Krishna says, I am never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered. I cover myself by my internal potency. And therefore, they do not know me. They do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. They cannot know me as Bhagavan, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they're foolish, their intelligence is splayed out, they're speculators, sentimentalists, impersonalists, pretending. We cannot fool Krishna. He's the witness. He's the judge of our foolishness and our not being intelligent. And if we're not so sincere, we're not serious, we're not going through this process, trying to qualify ourselves, then Krishna says, I'll just hide myself from you by my internal potency. And Prabhupada says in the purport that it may be argued that since Krishna, he was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, so how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? They all saw Krishna walking around. Some said, oh, he's a king, oh, he's this, he's that. So everyone saw him. But actually, Prabhupada says he was not manifest to everyone. Manifest means what is his real swarup? What is his real position as Bhagavan, as Supreme Personality of Godhead? When Krishna was present there, only very few people could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of the Kurus, when Shishupal, when he spoke against Krishna's being elected, why is he being elected as the president of the assembly? Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be his supreme God because he's Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So similarly, the Pandavas and just a few others knew that he was Supreme, the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. But not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and to the common man. Although they saw him, he's not manifesting, not revealing really who he is. So keeping himself hidden. Only Premi Bhakta, only dear devotee, only they could understand. Otherwise, everyone else, Krishna was hiding himself from them. And it says also, Sadhu Guru Vaishnava is same. If we don't approach in the right way, get the special mercy from Sadhu Guru Vaishnava, you cannot recognize them. You cannot understand them. They also keep themselves hidden because there's certain qualification that is required. Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Saraswati Thakur, they talk about that you're thinking that you are the seer. Yes, I am seeing. Seeing is believing. But actually, we are not the seer. We are to be seen. So if we are sincere and serious, we'll be recognized and seen by Krishna and Krishna's pure devotee. That sincerity and seriousness, they will then recognize and see, oh, Prabhupada said, oh, Krishna will think, oh, this person is looking for me. He wants to surrender, he wants to serve me, he wants to develop bhakti, loving devotional service to me. So we are to be seen, but we're thinking, no, we are the seers. So proudly, arrogantly, depending on our pride and arrogance, imperfect senses, we're thinking whatever we're seeing, whatever conclusion we're coming to by our eyeballs, then that anyway, that is truth. That's my truth. And even they changed the philosophy, right? Everyone has their own truth. So whatever your eyes see, whatever conclusion you concoct or manufacture, then that's your truth. But the truth is true. Prabhupada said, therefore, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for my pure devotees, Shuddha Bhaktas, Premi Bhaktas, all men consider me to be like themselves. He's just ordinary, more or less just like me. He was manifested only to his pure devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure. So only pure devotee, Premi Bhakta, only they could understand that Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, that he is Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. To others, those who are not really sincere, not serious, and non-devotees, unintelligent, not qualified, he was covered. He covered using his internal spiritual potency. So one time I asked Srila Govinda Swami that it seems like you have to be a pure devotee to be able to recognize a pure devotee. And Gurudev said, yes. Otherwise, how will you know? So you see many God brothers of Srila Prabhupada, right? They don't really recognize and understand Srila Prabhupada. They don't understand that he is Nitya Siddha, Premi Bhakta, eternal associate of Srimati Radharani, Radha and Krishna. They say, oh, Swamiji, oh, he was Grihasta, oh, he joined after me. He was a businessman. He was a family man. We're brahmachari, we're brahmanas, we're Vaishnavas, we're scholars, we're this, we're that. So they don't have the eyes to understand and to recognize because they don't get the mercy from Sadhu Guru Vaishnava. They don't get mercy from Mahaprabhu, from Sri Guru Gauranga, from Krishna to see transcendentally. They have ordinary vision because Krishna and his pure devotee, they're covering themselves by the spiritual internal potency. So he's only manifested to his pure devotees. To others, to unintelligent, non-devotees, he was covered by internal potency. In the prayers of Queen Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-19, it said that the Lord, he is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya. And thus the ordinary people, they cannot really understand her. Krishna said they can't really know me. They don't really know me, actually, factually, really know me. Because I'm covering myself. And therefore, ordinary people, they cannot really understand me and touch me. Prabhupada continues that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge, Satchit Ananda Vigraha, is covered by internal potency of Brahmajyoti, and thus a less intelligent impersonalist, they cannot see the Supreme on this account. So basically, if you're a perfect Brahmana, you can basically have enough purity to recognize Brahmajyoti. That's why you see in many of these religions, when they talk about God, the conception of God, It's always light and love. So they can perceive something about God's love and something about God's light. So God is light, He has some potency, some energy, and somehow that energy is connected to love. That's the best that all these religions can come to. They cannot transcend, they cannot go beyond that. Their intelligence is covered. Only by pure loving devotional service, Krishna says, will I reveal to you. Krishna said to Arjuna, because you're my Premi Bhakta, you're my dear devotee, you're my friend, you're not envious of me, then I will explain everything to you, everything of the material world and everything of the spiritual world. Nothing will be left out. Krishna is the source of all knowledge and intelligence. And for his devotees, Prabhupada said, try to be in the mood of Arjuna. Humble, completely surrendered, devotee, not envious, eager, greedy to hear. All of that qualification, then by Krishna's mercy, he'll purify us, purify our senses to be able to start to understand the subtle nature of this fourth dimensional spiritual transcendental philosophy. In Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma is also saying that, O my Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potencies? Who can really understand your pastimes? Who in this material world can really understand you and your potencies and your devotees and your pastimes? You're always expanding your internal potencies, and therefore no one can understand you. And Krishna says, only by pure loving devotional service will I reveal myself to you. And because most people are not interested in that, Prabhupada says in Bhagavatam that hardly anybody wants to go back home, back to Godhead. We're just assuming we're devotees. Of course we want to go back home, back to Godhead. But if we were really serious, we would be qualifying ourselves. We would be getting that mercy. So are we so sincere and serious? Do we really want to pay the price to go back home, back to Godhead? Are we really convinced? Are we really convincing Krishna? That's the question. Everyone has to ask themselves that question. It's between us and Krishna. We cannot fool Krishna. We cannot cheat Krishna. We should not just assume everything is already done. So Krishna is inconceivable. The people in three-dimensional consciousness and material world under modes of material nature, it's impossible to really understand him. You can become a perfect Brahmana and know something about Brahman, something about Brahmajyoti. You can look at the qualities of man and say, yes, love and affection and compassion and mercy, this must be godly qualities. If you had to imagine who is God, wouldn't it be like that? That's the best you can come to, three-dimensionally, from materialistic point of view. And those energies, internal energies, they're transcendental, they're ever expanding. It's inconceivable. We're trying to calculate inconceivable, ever-expanding spiritual potencies that are going on in the spiritual world, totally moded out with really faulty, imperfect intelligence, mind, and senses, not really coming up to the standard of qualification to receive mercy. And then whatever we're thinking, oh, I'm devotee, this is my understanding of the spiritual world, that's my truth. Let me find somebody I can tell it to, my truth. Prabhupada said, if you're not on that platform, you have no business speaking about the spiritual world. You have no access to the spiritual world. You've not yet been invited. And we certainly are not qualifying ourselves to be invited. So we're not qualifying, we're not invited, and then we're just charging there like, I'm here. We're gopis in the mood of separation. We're all Brijavasis. Crashing into the spiritual world, which is just some little corner of insanity in the material realm that we've labeled that little corner as transcendental. So it's crazy, it's insane, but yet we're doing it. And nobody's saying otherwise. Nobody's correcting us. Nobody's clarifying for us. We're assuming so many things. We're not understanding the tattvas. We're not understanding the actual process, the science. Yes, I'm hearing. Yes, we're chanting. It's all going on. Sometimes when I see the devotees, how are you doing? And devotees like little smile and they say, I'm in the process. And at first I was like, that sounds all right. But then I started saying, well, everybody's in a process. Who's not in a process? So are you in the process of blowing yourself up? Are we actually in the process of qualifying ourselves? It's interesting because before the class, I just selected like different things to read about. And I didn't know like which direction to go. But actually, each one of those 3 or 4 things is exactly tied together. So I maybe look like I'm a little organized. Don't be fooled. I'm just trying to depend on Krishna. How to understand all of these things in a practical way so that we can try to get a proper understanding. Even if one is perfected, this is a very important point where Krishna is saying that earlier in the Bhagavad Gita, out of millions and millions of people who are trying to become perfect, one becomes perfect. So are we trying even to become perfect? And then have we become perfect? So even out of millions and millions of people who are trying to become perfect, only one can become perfect. And out of those ones that become perfect, out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one of them can understand what Lord Krishna is. But we're devotees. We know what Lord Krishna is. So what is our knowing? Is it theoretical? Is it sentimental? Is it mechanical? That depends on our level of consciousness. So these types of statements are very important because it slows us down with our pride and arrogance and over dependence on our own intelligence and sense perception. It's literally showing our disqualification. And that's why it says, in Kali Yuga, there's no karma, there's no good karma, there's no yoga, jnana, no bhakti, no karma, jnana, yoga, bhakti, nothing. Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Prema. Prabhupada says there's no dharma. In the Kali Yuga, there's no dharma. There's no moksha. There's no goal or desire really for moksha. And then what to speak about prema? So what is our actual position? That's why it says in material consciousness, you cannot even know in the present time. We read yesterday, Prabhupada said, you cannot know what is your situation. If you're in material contaminated consciousness, your intelligence is polluted, covered, contaminated, you don't even know what's happening in the present. What you think you're conscious of, even that you cannot be sure what is done. Prabhupada said, conditioned soul, all they know is their body and their minds. Prabhupada said 99% of the people here, all they know is their body and their mind. And in that bodily covered, contaminated consciousness, such conditioned souls don't know what to do and what not to do. What to think and what not to think. What is real, what is unreal. What is truth, what is untruth. Who can say? Does it make sense? And then you take all of this technology, you take all of this type of bewilderment of sense perception of the conditioned living entity. Now you can't believe whatever you're seeing. Now because we're being cheated, this is the land of the cheaters and the cheated. Now all the truth is coming out, how all the people, all the living entities, all the populations of all these different countries and all of these different governments and isms have just been manipulated and exploited endlessly. The so-called authorities in our life, they're polluting the water, they're polluting the food, they're polluting the educational system, they're destroying the culture, they're destroying the civilization, they're destroying religion. They're the ones in charge of the algorithms of what you're seeing on the screen and what you're hearing. We should literally, whatever we see and hear in the material world, we should start now with none of it is real. Now prove to me how that's real. just assume whatever these people are telling, it's definitely faulty, it's definitely incomplete, it's definitely meant to manipulate and exploit you. So if that's the premise, how do you just blindly accept anything? If Maya tells us something, we're like, oh, okay, I feel it in my heart. God's inspiring me. And we run. And then when you hear the absolute truth from an absolute perspective, we're like, oh, I don't know. I need some more evidence. I have doubts. So when we hear the absolute truth, all of a sudden we need evidence, we have doubts. It has to be proved unlimitedly before we accept it. But if Maya says something, oh, yeah, I feel it in my heart. I feel good about it. Ooh, then run for that. And when the truth is coming, we're like, I don't know. Let's be skeptical. Let's be suspicious. Let's be intelligent. Let's be doubtful. Right? And then all the other material authorities, all of the endless nonsense that they are vomiting out onto us, we're just like, oh, all open for that. All welcome. All asat is welcome. But when the sat, the absolute truth, when that's coming, we're like, I don't know. This sounds too absolute. This is too serious topic. I got to be careful. So when the truth's coming, your mind and senses, I got to be careful. And when Maya's coming and saying, oh, I feel it in my heart. It's coming again and again in my mind, and I feel it in my heart. I must do it. It's coming from Krishna. Isn't it? Do you guys have patience?
Yeah.
Do you have a little patience?
Yeah.
Really? Are you just saying that? In the next verse, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, he says, O son of Bharata, O son of Bharata, O conqueror of the enemy, please know that all living entities, all the conditioned souls are born into delusion and ignorance. They're born into delusion, bewilderment, and ignorance, and they're bewildered by the dualities which have arisen because of their material desires. Because you want to forget, we want to enjoy separate from Krishna. Krishna says your intelligence is many branched because you have materialistic desire, materialistic attachment, and they hate, they're envious of God. So we say, well, we're devotees. We're not envious of God, and we're not hating God. Well, why we're not completely surrendering and cooperating? Because we don't want to be the servant. We don't want to be controlled. We don't want to be subordinate. We are competing. Prabhupada says you're competing with God. Why is he the enjoyer? Why is he the controller? Why is he the proprietor? Why he's the well-wishing friend of all the living entities? We want that position. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord. Even the word subordination, like Fender, doesn't taste good. Right? Surrender, subordination. And sometimes in the Gaudiya Math, other literatures, they in English they translate it into you're a slave. Slave, subordinate, under control, right? So we don't like it, and our natural instinct is we're rejecting that. That means we're rejecting the very essence of our constitutional position. That's how diseased we are. That even the words themselves trigger us. I'm triggered by that word.
Triggered.
Slave, servant, subordination, surrender, control. These are like fighting words. These are fighting words. When one is deluded into this type of separatist mentality from the pure knowledge, from the actual position, real constitutional position, then he becomes controlled by the illusory energy. So we're going to be controlled. We are being controlled. Make no mistake about it. It's just, are we being controlled by Krishna, by God, or by Maya? Is Krishna purifying, controlling our intelligence, mind, and senses? Or as Krishna says, is Maya the sitting place of Maya in material conditional or conditioned souls, intelligence, mind, and senses? So who is captured and controlling our intelligence, mind, and senses? We're saying it's me. I'm doing it. But Prabhupada said all you can do is desire. You can desire Krishna or Maya. If you desire Krishna, he'll control your intelligence, mind, and senses, all towards devotional service. If you don't agree for that, then you'll be controlled by Maya. So Maya will flood your mind and your heart with so many sinful desires and plans and attachments for material enjoyment, and give you opportunity in material world to try to live out your sinful desires and sinful activities. That's all orchestrated by Maya. So everyone is controlled. Everyone has to surrender. Well, I'm not surrendering to anybody. I'm not being controlled by anybody. I'm not listening to anybody. No, everybody is controlled. Everyone is surrendering. Everyone is listening. It's just, is it Krishna or is it Maya? That's the only thing that's different. Is it spiritual or is it material? Such deluded persons, they dwell, they're living in the dualities of honor and dishonor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, thinking, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my house. I remember one time I went to a preaching program in France, and when the devotee was driving me to his house to do some preaching program, as we're driving towards his house, He said, that's my cow, and that's my horse, and that's my house, and that's my wife. And we just started laughing. He was doing on purpose, because he was just showing that I'm in such a materialist person that I'm thinking that this all belongs to me. That's my cow, that's my house, that's my horse, that's my wife, that's my kid, right? So this is the symptoms of dwelling in this deluded material consciousness. This is my wife, this is my house, I'm the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are all the dualities of delusion under this bodily concept of life. And those who are deluded and bewildered by these illusions, by these dualities, they are completely foolish. Therefore, Prabhupada says, they cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This katha will never enter into their ears because of this delusion, this illusion, these attachments, this bodily concept of life. Without complete surrender and faith, this katha, it never enters into the ear, even if you're sitting there pretending to listen. So that's why when Gurudev said, although there's many people here apparently listening, how many is this katha actually entering into their ear? And then he's looking around and he starts going like this. So out of millions and millions of people who want perfection, only one gets perfection. And out of thousands and thousands of perfected men, hardly one of them can know me in tattva, in truth. Only those who have surrendered, only those who have complete faith, and who hear attentively, greedily, only they get mercy. Only they will get the mercy, and the ointment of love will be smeared on their eyes. That's the qualification, that's the requirement. So to be a deluded, contaminated bodily conception of life, 99% of the people, all they know is their body and their mind, their bodily relations. They're completely attached to all of that. What can they, this katha will never enter in, because they don't want Krishna, really. Because material attachment, material desire is too strong. That's the problem. So, okay, gradually it says that if you're there and you're hearing this katha, so somehow it will have some effect on you, a little bit. Prabhupada explained, Gurudev explained, like even if you bring like animal consciousness, they'll hear some vibration, but they won't understand what does the vibration mean. They will not penetrate. So in false ego platform, we're starting with this assumption that we are so sincere and we are so serious and we're completely surrendered and everything we're doing is up to speed So if you're not getting any benefit, if you're not feeling any benefit, then it must be the Guru's fault. Because from your perspective, you're doing everything perfectly. So it can't be your fault. So either Krishna's not God, the process doesn't work, or this person acting like a guru is just a fraud, and he's just trying to somehow manipulate and exploit us. So be careful, because we might get cheated. Everything we're doing, we're getting cheated. And we don't even realize it. Any questions or points on any of this? Is this too heavy? Is this too heavy information? You're older devotee. You've been in ISKCON for a long time, right? Yeah, you? With the glasses, yeah? Long time? You're older gentleman? So is my speaking, am I wrong in some way? Have I misunderstood something? What do you think? It's clear? No problem? I'm trying to quote Prabhupada. Authoritative. In his books, his teachings, his instructions, that's our foundation that we can measure anything by. So that's why Srila Bhogavinda Maharaj also, he taught us that you must quote bona fide authorized authorities. And even Prabhupada, he said, look, I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to trust Krishna. So if you have strong faith and trust Krishna, depending on Krishna, Krishna says, I'll give you intelligence and understanding how you can come to me. So this point about sincerity and seriousness to want to surrender and serve Krishna, that is the prerequisite. And then Krishna says, then I'll give you intelligence, understanding inside, and then outside through the Guru, and then through the Shastra. So inside, outside, through the Shastra, according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, you'll get all of this evidence, all of this authoritative statements. This is foundation of the truth. If we don't understand that, how can we measure and understand anything that we're hearing? So Prabhupada said, when somebody's speaking something, Prabhupada said, what is it, a well-dressed fool is not revealed until he starts to speak. So sometimes people, they say, oh, this devotee is senior devotee, this person is a guru, nice preacher, nice sadhu, nice Vaishnava. I'm very intrigued by that. I'm very inspired by that. So I must go and associate with them. And I must hear from them. So when I'm hearing from them, and they're not presenting Prabhupada as it is, then right away I'm not happy. Because our authority is Srila Prabhupada. We accept Srila Prabhupada as representative of Mahaprabhu's disciplic succession from Parag. Just like Krishna establishes himself why he's God, because he knows past, present, and future. He knows all the living entities. Another quality and symptom and behavior of who should be God, he's also establishing his disciplic succession. Yes, previously I spoke this to the sun god millions and millions of years ago. And now I'm coming again to reestablish that disciplic succession parampara by explaining it to you, Arjuna. I'm making you that disciplic succession parampara. Because you're my devotee, you're my friend, you're not envious of me, therefore I'll explain everything to you. And through you, for the rest of mankind. You had a question of what? Yeah.
Is it true that no one can get unflinching faith until he has material desires and attachments?
Nobody what?
No one can get real unflinching faith until he has material desires and attachments.
Is it true that no one can get faith until he gets completely free from the material attachment and desire?
Faith, real faith, not the so-called faith that comes from Maya, through your mental speculation and your sentimentality. Not that definition of faith. Real faith means pure, unalloyed faith only comes from Krishna. Krishna is the giver of that intelligence and faith, and he's the giver of that Krishna prema. So he is the reservoir of intelligence and faith. Now it's a question of, can we hear Krishna? Krishna says, because you have big false ego and you're attached to your body, you're in the bodily concept of life, you're attached to your bodily relations, you're bewildered, you're deluded, you're contaminated, you're polluted. What are you going to hear? If we can't hear Krishna's faith, how we're going to develop faith? If we can't hear Krishna's intelligence, how we're going to cultivate spiritual intelligence? We have a hearing problem. Right now we're hearing from Maya and the agents of Maya. Speculation, sentimentality, emotions, feelings. How are you feeling today? How are your emotions today? So everyone just tuned into listening to their feelings, emotions, and sentimental speculations. That's what you're hearing on bodily platform. That's a false ego platform. Buddha Prabhupada called it last night the false identification. That's not the real platform. So Krishna says, if you can depend on me and trust me and hear from me, touch Trinu, Krishna told Arjuna, hear from me. If you can hear from me and depend on me and work under my protection and be fully conscious of me, then I'll give you intelligence and understanding how to overcome all the obstacles and all the impediments in material conditional life. Step by step. But if you can't hear me, because of this false ego and this bodily conception and attachment to the body and bodily relations, if you can't hear me, you're lost. You're just groping in the dark. So if we cannot hear properly, this katha never enters into our ear, how are we going to develop spiritual intelligence and faith? Faith is transferred. Those who have faith, if we can somehow hear from them, then we can develop faith. Isn't it? And Prabhupada said about Gaudiya Math is because they disobeyed the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and because they wanted to become gurus in an unauthorized way, this was the root cause of the downfall and the failure of the Gaudiya Math. Now, of course, the Gaudiya Math people hate that. They hate to hear that. But that's Prabhupada's said like this. Because they disobeyed the order and instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they became asada. Asada means disconnected, useless, powerless. And Prabhupada said they have no authority, no power, understanding how to preach. So all they can do is steal ISKCON devotees. Really, that's their outreach. And that's been going on from the beginning. That's why when Prabhupada understood this is what this we're doing, then he said, don't listen to these people. They cannot really help you, but by listening to them, they can greatly damage you, hurt you. What was the word? Right? You understand? So these are inconvenient, unpalatable truths. Prabhu, tell me, Hare Krishna. Am I getting in trouble? I don't mind. I don't care. As long as Prabhupada and Gurudev are happy with me, and you're happy with me, I'm all right. You're my friends.
Shri Gurudev, in the beginning, he was explaining that when somebody is hearing properly and sufficiently, and he is eager to hear, then Krishna entering into his heart, and he is purifying his heart from all contamination and from ignorance. But then from other side, he was explaining them when spiritual master will see that the heart of a person is purified, then he will ask Krishna to come.
Yeah.
So how to understand it properly? Because it looks like Krishna already entered into the heart.
If you're sincere and serious, then Krishna in the heart, he'll know that this person, this soul, is looking for me. This Adao Shraddha is beginning faith. That you want to understand God, you want to surrender, you want to serve Him. He'll understand the sincerity and seriousness of that soul. And Prabhupada said that once Krishna Paramatma Super Soul sees and hears that sincerity and seriousness, Prabhupada says the first installment of Krishna's mercy, when he sees that you're sincere and serious, is he will send you a bona fide spiritual master. He will dictate to you, he'll give you intelligence that this is your spiritual master. So that intelligence and faith to understand how Krishna is helping us by sending us the spiritual master, that intelligence and faith comes from Krishna in the form of the Paramatma Super Soul. Then Krishna says, if you really want to understand me in tattva, like completely, then you go and you surrender to that bona fide authorized representative spiritual master. Prabhupada said, don't try to find a guru. Try to find the guru. And the guru means sent by Krishna to bona fide authorized disciplic succession. So that intelligence, that purification that Paramatma Super Soul gives you is enough for you to understand and to seek guidance from bona fide guru. And then Krishna's Paramatma Super Soul will give you intelligence and faith to understand who is bona fide authorized guru. Then if you, just like Arjuna surrendered, then if you surrender to the guru that Krishna sends, who's bona fide and authorized, then Krishna will manifest and speak through pure via medium of the spiritual master. So bona fide guru is a pure via medium of Krishna. So Krishna is using the guru to speak Hari-katha, Krishna-katha, to chant Hare Krishna, Mahamantra. So the Shravanam, Prabhupada says, is first and most important aspect of devotional service. Conditioned soul who has beginning faith cannot directly hear from Krishna because still too much contamination, too much polluted consciousness, still purification is required. So the original purification is from Paramatma Super Soul when he sees sincerity and seriousness. For the work, continued work of purification, then it comes through the process of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing from Sadhu Guru Vaishnava. So Krishna is manifesting through empowered, authorized representative, and by producing that transcendental sound vibration, if you can somehow or other hear and put faith in that hearing process, then Krishna, through transcendental sound, will then penetrate your ear and go to your heart, and therefore will be able to purify through the hearing process all the other different types of misconception, contamination, pollution of consciousness. So Krishna is helping inside by giving intelligence and dictating to us who he will speak through as external manifestation of Super Soul. Then if you surrender and hear from Krishna through that pure via medium of Krishna, then Krishna in the form of Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam, will manifest through the recitation of bona fide authorized spiritual master. So Krishna is helping inside, then he's helping outside, and outside means bona fide guru. He has heard and understood properly from bona fide authorized source. Therefore, he has knowledge, realized knowledge, and unflinching faith. and they're conversant because they realize and understand the topic. They can freely talk on these topics based on their faith and their realization. So if you hear from them, that will gradually purify you and develop your faith and then your transcendental understanding of the science of the philosophy. Do you like that answer, or is there some part of that you want to talk more about?
No, I like this answer.
Yeah. And I have all of the quotes. If anyone, has the time and the energy, I have everything I'm saying 100% backed up. All of Prabhupada's books, teachings, instructions, just like a law book. I can quote all of these things to you anytime you want them. But because everyone doesn't have so much patience, a little bit you have to, understand. If you read Prabhupada's books and you have faith in Prabhupada, he'll give you intelligence, understanding that what I'm telling is very accurate. It's not the speculative. So this is process. It's a really nice question, because Krishna is showing special mercy. He's destroying the ignorance enough to do what? Is he doing enough to now you're becoming like Arjuna and then you just directly can hear from Krishna? To the ear. To the ear. Some people think you read, but no, there must be sound vibration. There must be Shabda Brahma. Must be transcendental sound vibration from the lips to the ear. And if it's bona fide and authorized, Krishna agrees to enter into that katha, into that Krishna Nam, krishna-katha, then that vibration, if we can submissively hear it with real surrender and real faith and real eagerness, then Krishna will enter in, and by that sound vibration, by your contaminated consciousness. Now, if your consciousness is more purified by that transcendental sound vibration, now you'll be able to understand more philosophy, the subtle, the science. In beginning, Prabhupada was just chanting holy name, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, giving them a lot of prasadam, Krishna prasadam. And then he gives some class, Prabhupada giving class like 30, 40 minutes. Because they first purify your consciousness. Then once the consciousness is purified and you come to, and then you become philosophically, spiritually inquisitive, then now you're more qualified and eager to get all the details, all the nuances and the subtleties of that transcendental subject matter. So that has to be explained from someone who already knows it. So before I met Srila Govinda Swami, I was just reading Prabhupada's books 2-3 hours a day for 5-6 years. And I was a full-time book distributor and preacher. And I had different gurus, shiksha gurus within ISKCON. And so I thought I had pretty good understanding. But then I heard from Srila Govinda Swami, and I saw a huge difference between just reading the books and hearing from someone who has unflinching faith and realization and truly understands the science. Therefore, they're able to share that faith and realization to anybody who will consider that offering. And then you see for yourself how it helps you, whether it can help you. What is the effect that comes by that hearing process? So they're establishing their credentials, they're ordered and instructed by previous acharya in disciplic succession. These are all necessary requirements. And a bona fide guru is presenting Prabhupada as it is. He's not adding anything. He's not subtracting anything. So everything must be consistent with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So all of these boxes have to be checked. And ultimately, you judge the thing finally by the results that you get. So the results themselves, if done properly, will also convince you and give you intelligence and faith in what you're hearing. That will convince you more than any other thing. But all of those things are necessary elements for us to be able to have sufficient faith and confidence that we're hearing, proper information from proper bona fide authorized source. And then if that's all true, then what is the effect that you get by that association? So if all of your questions are being answered according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and your doubts are being destroyed, and everything is becoming more and more consistent and clear, and everything is being reconciled, even though apparently it seems opposing, these are very good signs that you're hearing properly in the right association. That's my understanding. I hope that helps you. Krishna Sharna Das. Hare Krishna. Do you like these topics? Is it helpful? A little controversial? I don't care. That's why I like Srila Govinda Swami, because he's just speaking the truth. He's not trying to be politically correct. He's not trying to win, a popularity contest. If you speak the truth in this world, they'll consider that revolutionary. That means you're like you're a revolutionary. You're a deviant. But I like this type of revolutionary deviance where they don't care about political correctness or institutional correctness. We didn't come here to join an institution. We didn't even come here to get a guru. We came here to try to figure out who is God and how we're supposed to serve God. That's why we came here. Not to join another institution. Not even to get a guru. I kept praying to God, I'm ready to fully surrender to you. What should I do? And then no answer is coming. And I said, maybe I'm not sincere enough. So I tried to be as sincere as possible. I want to surrender to you. I just don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you want me specifically to do. Please tell me. And then you're not telling me. So then I'm getting very frustrated because I'm thinking I was being sincere. But then why he's not telling me? Why he's not prompting me? And then one message came to me. And this is before I was Hare Krishna devotee. This was when I was a Christian. This is when I was following St. Francis. And the answer came to me, you need to find someone that I can speak through. So I understood that God works through people. I saw that in my life. You all see that in your life. Different people you met, they gave you some hint, they gave you some encouragement, they shared some faith with you. Every one of us has these people in our path, along the path. We saw how God is using people to help us, isn't it? So now when you want to fully surrender, Krishna is saying, okay, I know you want to surrender, but you need to find someone that I can speak through. I didn't know about a guru, but I understood that God can work through people and speak through other people. So then I started trying to listen for, well, who is God is going to speak through? I was just going around living my life, praying. Like, who is this buyer medium of God that he's going to give me this kind of faith and intelligence to understand specifically what he wants me to do? Then he led me to my spiritual master. So that's the process in the Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra, and that's exactly also what happened to me. That's why I have faith and confidence in what I'm telling you. Because it's legal, it's consistent, it's historically the same, it's the same science, it's the same process, it's the same philosophy and instructions, and that's exactly what happened to me. That's why I accepted. What was the one?
So moving from beginning sincerity and sincerity to want to surrender to Krishna. Krishna gives faith, purification that we have.
Speak louder.
That Krishna gives faith that this is the arrangement I'm making for you, then go and surrender and hear from this personality. So now the whole process is based on submissive hearing and to become more sincere and serious. But then because conditioned soul still has this tendency to listen to stupid mind. And
then listen to your stupid mind. And see how well it works.
So,
when it's not working, then they go back to listening to Guru Krishna. Yeah. It's very practical. If you listen to Guru Krishna, you get a great result. If we're being, stupid or lazy or foolish or thinking we know better, acting independently, then you get a different result. And then you see what result you like better. What quality of life do you like better? Do you like spiritual shelter and protection and guidance and good instruction that frees you from speculation and sentimentality and making all of these mistakes, speculative mistakes, groping in the dark? So that's up to you what type of life, consciousness, and lifestyle that you want to live. Nobody can force you. No one can force you to accept this instruction. It's voluntary. When it's based on intelligence and faith that comes from Krishna, then we'll accept it. Yeah, so what's the problem?
How to avoid this tendency? Because it says one tinge of doubt and then you cannot really, it will not work. So how to avoid this tendency so that one can consistently...
If it's not working, you need a different process. If you're getting all bad information and you're being misdirected and you don't feel shelter and protection and you're not sure of what are you doing, then you need a different process. So you can accept, Prabhupada said, you hear from Krishna, Krishna Parampara, disciplic succession, and the Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's the only thing that is meant to be heard. Everything but that is Maya. It's really that simple. If you hear from Krishna through the Guru, through the Shastra, through Guru Sadhu Shastra, that's perfect hearing from perfect source, perfect information. If you don't choose to hear that way, then everything else you're thinking and hearing is just Maya. So what do you want? What kind of result do you want? What type of lifestyle do you want? What type of consciousness do you want to be in? You understand? Is that more clear? Why is that confusing? You asked the same thing twice in a row. You asked that same question twice in a row. Did you not hear my answer the first time? So you asked it again? Is this for our benefit? For more clarification and emphasis? What type of answer are you looking for? You want some other technical answer? What is it? What? I answered it, right? What else, anybody? Any other interesting ones? No? You have it all figured out? All right, I'll give you more myself then. I have to quote the authority. I have to quote the law books. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, how do we know he's saying right thing? So Prabhupada, this is talking about sincerity and seriousness, to want to surrender to Krishna. I'll go a little quick so I give you like a few nice quotes to substantiate what I'm saying from Prabhupada's books and teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.15, Bhagavatam lecture, February 22, 1973, Australia. Prabhupada says, if you surrender to Krishna, then also Krishna's first mercy is that he will send you his representative. If anyone is serious to surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will help him from within and from without. From within, as the super soul, he will help and he will dictate to you that you should go to this person and accept him as your spiritual master. So when you have enough faith that you can trust Krishna's dictation, then Krishna himself will dictate and give you intelligence who to accept as bona fide guru. Is that how you accepted your guru? Did the super soul make that arrangement and dictate to you? But Prabhupada says, when there is this combined mercy of both Krishna and Krishna's representative, then you will be successful. Prabhupada speaking in Paris, lecture June 26, 1971. Srila Prabhupada says, if one is very serious, then Krishna or God from within you, he also helps Atma or Super Soul. But those who are very serious about understanding about God, understanding about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he immediately helps him. Prabhupada says, I mean to say that he'll show you a spiritual master. So the candidate will be helped from inside and then outside how to approach God. This Krishna consciousness movement is meant simply for that purpose. So when I first came to Russia and I was telling all the that pray to Krishna, his Paramatma, Super Soul, is in your heart. He'll give you intelligence and faith, guidance, how to do, what to do. Then the authorities in the temple, they came to me and they started to chastise me that how like this, that these devotees should go to Paramatma, Super Soul, Krishna in the heart. These people are not advanced enough to do that. So they're telling opposite thing. We're not interested in the Super Soul. These people are not qualified to pray to Krishna as Super Soul or to hear Krishna from inside. And I said, well, if they don't hear from Krishna by their sincere prayers, then how will they know what to do? And the authorities said, we'll tell them what to do. So that means that you're the Super Soul then. You're the source of all intelligence and faith, evidently. Prabhupada's saying, pray to the Paramatma Super Soul within your heart. Krishna says, I am that Super Soul within your heart. And he will help you. He'll show you, bring you to bona fide Guru and dictate to you that you should accept this person as my representative. And this is how I'm going to help you. I'm going to use this person to help you. In this way, one will be helped on the inside and then on the outside, how to approach God. This Krishna consciousness movement is meant for that purpose. I'm trying to establish that instruction for this purpose, and they say, we're not interested in this thing. Why are you preaching all of this? These people are not qualified. They're not qualified to hear all of that. Prabhupada said the spiritual master, the representative, the living representative of Krishna, he helps from outside, and Krishna, as a Paramatma, he helps from the inside. In both ways, the living entity can take advantage and make his life successful. All right, this is the last quote. I have hundreds of them. Anyone who's interested. But I don't want to take advantage of your tolerance. But I also want to establish that what I'm telling is not, I'm not concocting it, I'm not manufacturing it. It's authoritative.
Did you hear Prabhupada's book, Easy Journey to Other Planets?
Yes.
Did you hear about that? Easy Journey to Other Planets?
Yes.
Prabhupada's book? Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, easy journey to other planets. Prabhupada's book. In the second chapter, in that chapter, the chapter name is Varieties of Planetary Systems. Varieties of Planetary Systems. In that second chapter, Prabhupada says that the Krishna, he reveals himself from within to one who is serious about God realization. Both Krishna and the spiritual master help such a sincere soul. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of God, who is situated in everyone's heart as supersoul. For one who is very serious about understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the supersoul immediately renders assistance to him by directing him to a bona fide spiritual master. In this way, the spiritual candidate is helped from within and from without. So this is a little bit related to your question, Krishna Swami. That how Krishna is helping on the inside, he's purifying us enough to give us faith and intelligence and guidance. But what is that faith and guidance is who to accept as external representative, a bona fide representative of Krishna. That much purification you'll get. Then the rest of it, the rest of the purification, development of faith, transcendental knowledge, instructions of how to engage in devotional service, all of that will come from Krishna, but through the spiritual master. And the spiritual master will quote, the love books will quote Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra to substantiate